Hello, my friends, and welcome to Home Studio Quickies, here in the new space. On this episode, which is episode 14 already, I'm going to be answering your questions. So we have many questions. I stay active in my comments section, as you know. But there are some questions I thought it might be helpful to answer on video, just because more people may have them, and that way there's a video that answers these questions. Anyway, so looking through the comments. The first one is by Helsinki Oslo. Helsinki Oslo. I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly. But your question is, how about direct monitoring? This is talking about the Complete Audio 6 Mark II. Does Complete support direct monitoring to both line output and headphones? This is from my review where I talked about how it sort of ducks the audio when you're monitoring. And the answer to that question, I believe, is no. It doesn't, as near as I can tell, and I plan to do a full review of it in the near future. It doesn't provide monitoring through the lineouts, which would be where the speakers monitors are connected. It does through the headphones, and I'm actually okay with that. And the reason I'm okay with that is I can't tell you how many times I've had to think about creating a feedback loop as I record with my my microphone in front of the speakers, because my setups are basically just one room. I'm not in a booth somewhere with someone else controlling. I'm recording, so it's nice that it doesn't do the playback through there. However, some people might be concerned that, well, you won't be able to hear your instruments. Well, there is a feature, I may get into this in more detail in the future, but there is a feature inside of Reaper which I use, and it has monitoring on each of the channels automatic. So I have to be careful on the vocal tracks with this Reaper update, because I'll hear myself twice. But when I'm playing virtual instruments, that's helpful, because then I can hear them while I'm playing. So short answer, no, it doesn't. But for me, that's not a problem, because it's more centered around live and studio. And so if you're live, you'll probably have in-ear monitors, so it's not that important to be monitoring through those. Anyway, I hope that answers your question. EJ Shelby on the Scarlett 2i2 setup video part 2. So glad I found your video. I have the same situation. Don't own monitors, just Bose laptop speakers. Now, I use the Scarlett Solo, a simpler module, but same concept. I connected the Bose to the red box via its monitor route, i.e. a pair of red-white RCA out of the Scarlett. But the other end is a single headphone jack into the Bose. The problem I'm experiencing is delay and lack of velocity. By that I mean when I play the keyboard to trigger GarageBand sounds, say various pianos, the sound that comes out of the Bose is just not satisfying. No force, a couple of milliseconds delay, wonky timbre, sometimes just weird. So I don't know if it's due to that the Bose is not a monitor, or I should connect Scarlett and Bose via the large headphone jack as in your video. The all caps are just begging for exclamation. Also, I don't have a converter, hence never able to try. Okay, so that was a little bit dense as a question. And dense, I mean a lot of content there. Let's see. So RCA, red and white, it's red and white, and it's going down to an 1/8 inch. That might be why you're having a warbly sound, because you've just converted a stereo signal down to almost a mono signal, I want to say. I know this works for output. I mean, that's how my TV is connected to my speakers, is one of these cables that has an 1/8 inch on one end, or 3.5 millimeter, and then the other end is RCA. But that's coming out, so that's stereo. I'm not sure how it goes from those two down to one without a converter of some sort and doesn't end up being kind of wonky. So I might say that it doesn't really matter that they're not monitors. It's just something weird happening in the cabling, I would say. Nod. No only dubstep. Also commenting on the same video. How can I switch from the KRK Rocket G3 speakers to Bayer Dynamic DT770 Pro 250 ohm without damage them from Scarlett 2i2? Okay. We might want to look up these Bayer Dynamic and see what they are. Are those speakers or are those headphones? That's why it's good to have your research next to you so you can look these things up. They are headphones. Okay, this is getting a little bit above my depth here, or below, not below, but over my head. There we go. As far as dealing with the ohms here, let's see, 250 ohm. So how can I switch? Because you would be plugging these into your headphone jack. What does it have for the main out here? It doesn't show me. Ideal for mixing in the studio. I don't know that there would be a problem. I don't think it'll damage it. What it might do, however, is the sound, and this is why I say it's over my head, depending on which way you go with the ohms, it might be louder than normal in that set of headphones, or it might be quieter. I have Sony MDR 7506 headphones, and I remember Sanjay C talking about how different headphones, the volume is different based on the ohms there. So like he had another pair of headphones and it was quieter because of the ohm level. But that's something I'd have to look into a bit more, and I can get back to you on that. Stephen Lawrence, also on the Scarlett 2i2 setup, part 1. Can anyone tell me, can I set this up so that my daughter can sing along to YouTube via the computer? Computer has speakers. Problem I find is I can only have music through those speakers or the Scarlett. Confused. Man, I don't blame you. If you don't know something, it is really, really confusing. I happen to have a Scarlett 2i2 with me right now. So I'm going to show you how to do just that. What it sounds like is happening is you can have, like I say, only through those speakers or the Scarlett. Okay. So if you want your daughter to be able to sing along with YouTube, and by the way, Scarlett has that direct monitor switch, so you could, with speakers plugged in, microphone in, sing, and you'll hear it out of everywhere, whether it's headphones or the line outs at the back. But in order to do that and not have it, and so your daughter can hear herself and the music, which the best way to do that is through the Scarlett, you would need to set it as your default audio input, or default audio output rather. Input, that's because of the direct monitor, it's you're not actually recording just yet. We'll get into that later. I'm going to show you. Now, I'm in Windows 10, so it might look slightly different, but this is basically, it's your audio setup settings. So you can come in here to open audio settings like this, or you can, in Windows 10, you can click on this thing and come over to settings, which is taking a while to load because this is a slow computer. But this is now, as you can see already, it is set up with my Focusrite as the audio output. That's because I've done this before. But here you are. So you choose your output. Right now it's speakers, and that's probably what you'll have for the most part. But if you want to change it, you'll change it like this. Go here. Okay, now it's the default output. And so you'll be able to hear all your computer sounds, your YouTube videos that you're playing through the Scarlett, and then with the microphone in and the direct monitor switched on, like I was saying earlier, your daughter will be able to play the music and hear herself. If you are going through speakers plugged into the Scarlett, once again, be careful of creating a feedback loop. You'll want to have the speakers pointed away from the microphone a little bit, or at least if it is a condenser mic like this one, have the rejection zone, which is on the back here that you're seeing, pointed at the speaker outputs or in that general direction. But otherwise, yeah, that should be about right. Let me know if you have any more questions. Hopefully that answered it. I was just thinking though, I use Windows and not everybody in the world uses Windows. There's a way to do this on the Mac. In fact, I'm pretty sure I know it. I don't have a Mac, but I do have a friend who does. Hey Ernie, you mind showing the people how this is done?
Yeah, bud. No problem. Let's explain it. I have a Mac, so let's go right to the computer and figure it out. Okay, first things first. Let's go directly to our desktop, and in the right-hand corner, you'll find this little icon with a little speaker. And when you click it, you should have a drop-down menu of all the output devices that your computer is connected to. So you have the internal speakers, and then you have your external audio interfaces. For me, I'm using a Scarlett 18i8, so I can see it here. As long as that is checked, all the audio that is coming out of my computer will go directly to my audio interface. Now, when you're in your DAW, or your digital audio workstation, it works exactly the same way. So I use Logic, but this will work on any DAW, whether you're in Ableton or Pro Tools or Cubase and so on and so forth. Just make sure when you're in your program to go to your preferences and go down to audio, and typically you'll get this window. And as long as the output device or the input device is connected to your audio interface, you're not going to have a problem. You can record, you'll listen to yourself, you can have it sent to your monitors, as long as this is all here together. So I hope that was helpful. Setting up your audio interface for the first time is always just kind of tedious and difficult, but after this, after you learn it one time, it's not a problem anymore. Anyways, back to you, Drone.
Cool. Thanks, man. That was my friend Ernie Hernandez. You should check out his channel. Lots of great stuff there. Anyway, that was about 3 or 4 questions. Great for an inaugural return of Home Studio Quickies in the new space. Thank you so much for joining me. Thanks to my friend Ernie for helping out with this question and answer session. And we'll see you guys later.